Namah Parvati Pataye Govindanam Sankirtanam.
Namaste everyone. Once again, I'm very happy to welcome you all for Bhagavatam. So, in the previous, that is, we will start this Srimad Bhagavatam with an invocation. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Vashantaye Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Guruve Sarva Lokanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Nideye Sarva Vidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaham தென்னாடுடைய பெரியவா போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி சர்வஜா சர்வவியாபி பெரியவாச்சரணம் மாய பிறப்பர்க்கும் மகா பெரியவாடி போற்றி ஜன்மாத்யஸ்ய யதோ அன்வயாதிதரதஸ்சார்த்தேஷு அபிஜ்ஞः ஸ்வராட் தேனே பிரம்மஹ்ருதாயாதிகவயே முஹ்யந்தி யத் சூரயः தேஜோ வாரிமிருதாம் யதா விநிமயோ யத்ஸ்த்ர சர்கோ மிருஷா दाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तगुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. The last session of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have seen about Maharaja Bharatan, how Maharaja Bharatan came out of his mighty kingdom, mighty palace with all the luxuries and all. He left the palace, he left his wife, he left his children, his material things, everything, and he came to Kathāśravaṇam for doing puja to Lord Krishna. And but what happened was, due to his prarabdha karmam, he began to raise an infant deer, baby deer, palana, poshana, kridana, everything he did. And in the moment of his death, at the time of his death, his thought was full of deer only. He never thought about Lord Paramatma. And he thought about the deer. And he left his body. So he took the birth as a deer again. But as he was a great bhakta, as he was a great, Krishna bhaktan, he could now realize that he could, he never forget about the past incidents that was happened. And he felt very bad about the misfortune. And even in the shariram of deer, even in the body of the deer, he never forget about Paramatma, and he came to the same river, Kathāśravaṇam. And before leaving its body, the deer shouted, "Hey Narayana!" And then the deer fell dead. And now, at this stage, it left the body of the deer, the Jivatma, it left the body of the deer and took birth in the womb of the youngest wife of a Brahmana. That Brahmana belongs to an Angirasa Vamsam. That Brahmana had 9 sons. 9 sons from his first wife. And by his second wife, he got twins. He got twins, a brother and a sister, of which the male child was said to be the topmost devotee of the Krishna. That is Jada Bharata, the foremost of the saintly kings, Maharaja Bharatan, who has taken birth after giving up the body of a deer. So he was called Jada Bharata. Jada means, it's like a dead body, but having life, but it looks like a dead body, that he will never respond to anything. That is how he got his name, Jada Bharata. This Jada Bharata was Maharaja Bharata in the body of a Brahmana. And he, he outwardly conducted himself as if he was dull, deaf and dumb and a mad person, actually. See, actually, he was quite alert within. See, he knew perfectly well of the results of the results of the fruitive activity. So he doesn't want to do any activity in this Janma. He is very much aware of what happened in the previous Janmas. So here, Maharaja, the Bharata Maharaja, in the body of a Brahmana, was completely absorbed in Paramatma within. So what happened is, so therefore, it was not at all necessary for him to execute the regular activities, or the regular activities which will give fruits for him. Fruits means papam or punyam to him. Either way, even if you do punyam also, you have to take a birth to get the fruits of that punyam. If you do papam, then you are getting the fruits of that papam. So you have to take birth again. So for both punyam and papam, you have to take birth again and again. So he is very much aware. So he was always very cautious, very, very cautious of any association, because he feared that he would again fall down. Consequently, he manifested himself before the public eye as a madman, dull, or deaf, so that others would not even try to talk to him. In his early years, that is when he was child, this Jada Bharata, when he was child, his father, he tried to instruct him in Vedic knowledge, because he's a Brahmana, isn't it? So he wanted to impart the Vedic knowledge to this boy. So his father tried to do that. But, and he also underwent that Upanayana karma, means Punal, he underwent the Upanayana karma, initiating Gayatri mantra. But here, this Jada Bharata always, behaved before his father like a fool. So his father became so upset that he would know that he was unfit for instruction. But still he tried to teach him, because he's a father, the Gayatri Mantram, the whole of Dakshinayinam, that is 6 months. He was teaching Gayatri Mantram to initiate him, to instruct him all the Vedic knowledge and all. But his father was not successful in instructing him. And he tried to teach his son in any way. He tried to teach his son, but all his endeavors failed. So he became so sad. On one day, what happened? Death appeared before him. That is, his father appeared and took him away. That is, his father died. Jada Bharata's father died. So thereafter, the Brahmana's younger wife, isn't it? The younger wife, who is the mother of this Jada Bharata and his twin sister. And after entrusting these twin children, the boy and the girl, to the first wife, to the elder wife, departed for Pitrulokam. This younger wife, she departed to Pitrulokam, voluntarily dying with her husband. So what happened is, after the father died, after the father passed away, the 9 step-brothers of Jada Bharata, who considered Jada Bharata as dumb and dull and fool, abandoned him, not giving any education. So he was without education. So they could not understand. These brothers, they could not understand the highly exalted position of Jada Bharata. See, most of us, we don't understand highly saintly persons. We could not follow him, or we could not understand him, because they will be different from us. They will behave different from us. They will expect, see, we always expect them to do like us, behave like us, but they are not like us. They are in an exalted position. So what happened? His brothers mistreated him, mistreated this Jada Bharata. What happened is he behaved for them, and he also behaved for them as like a madman. So he never protest. He only wore a dirty loincloth, and the sacred thread he wears is always black in color because he never take bath. So it's always blackish in color, and he did not care for winter or summer, wind or rain. He never bothered about that. He never covers. He never even bothered to cover his body anytime. He lay on the ground, he lay on the ground always, and he never smeared any oil in the body or took a bath. So actually his body was very, very huge. He was very stout and huge, as strong as bulls, and his limbs were very muscular. Understanding that he was born in a Brahmin family because of his, sacred thread, people would call him as Brahmana Bandhu and other names. Because, a Brahman, though, you may be calling yourself as a Brahman, but you have to do all the rituals like a true Brahman. Otherwise, you are always called as a Brahmana Bandhu only. Bandhu means friend. You are a friend of a Brahmin. That's it. You have to do all the rituals. So, people will call him as a Brahmana Bandhu. Would call. Okay, he would not respond to anything. He would not respond to anything, even though you call as a Brahmin, as a non-Brahmin or anything. He would not respond. He would not get angry also. Being thus, insulted and neglected by, all this materialistic people, he wandered here and there. See, whatever food they give, he will eat. Even if he is not getting any food, he doesn't bother. He will go just like that, and some people will give small quantity or large quantity of food, anything he will eat, even though the food is, it may be palatable, it may be stale or tasteless. He would accept anything. He would accept and eat. Even some people may give broken rice, rotten food. Some may give even rotten food stuck into the pot. That is called a stali purisham. Means it will be the food that had stuck to the pot that they will give. So he would accept all this. He will accept all this gladly, that it was like a nectar to him. If others wanted him to do something, if others wanted to do something for them, then he acted accordingly. He acted according to their desires. If somebody calls, some may even entrust heavy jobs to him, big works to him, and give nothing in return. So if someone wants him to carry big granite stones in his head, he would carry. So that much of a muscular person he is. But the thing is, someone has to say him to drop that granite stone. Otherwise, he'll be carrying the granite stone and he'll be going there. He will not stop. Someone has to be there to tell him to stop there and drop the granite stone. Otherwise, he will not do that. He'll be keeping on doing that same work. So whatever karma he has to do in this janmam, he would like to do, because he doesn't want to take another birth to do all these karma again, to do this prarabdha karma. So what he is prepared to reduce all the prarabdha karma. So sometimes some may even give good food also. So, but he never ate anything for sense gratification. He just, because he was actually a liberated soul. He was already liberated, from his bodily conception. So he doesn't bother what happened to him. He would never bother. his stepbrothers, they had some, his stepbrothers, they had some agricultural field, some land, some acres of agricultural field. So one day what happened is, it was a rainy night. It was it was raining, and the watchman of that agricultural field, he refused to stay that night because it was already raining. It's so dark, and he himself, he was so scared to be there. And so what the stepbrothers said, they thought that this Jada Bharata, what is he for? He's just useless. But he's a stout fellow. He's a very big fellow, tall and stout and huge man. So the Jada Bharata was huge, and the brothers took advantage of him. And they gave him a stick. They gave him a stick and got him sit on the field. As he is very huge, the animals would get, would dare to him, dare to come inside the field, seeing him, because he was so huge. So Jada Bharata would do what, Jada Bharata automatically he would do whatever he is instructed to do so. So he was sitting there in the heavy rain with the stick in the hand, and he was sitting there. See, at this time, he was sitting. This is one scene. At this time, what happened? A zamindar, a leader, is a zamindar. He wanted, he's so desirous of obtaining a son. And some priests told this zamindar that if you sacrifice a human being, human brahmana, then you will get the son. You will get a son. So what happened is, he wanted to worship, that is, he wanted to give bali, that is narabali. Narabali means cutting off the head in front of Kali, in front of goddess Kali. So he is desirous of obtaining a son. This zamindar, what happened? He wanted to worship the goddess Bhadrakali, offering her in a sacrifice, offering her in sacrifice a human being. So he ordered, what he did is, he ordered his followers to find one brahmachari boy to offer him to Bhadrakali. What happened? These followers, all the followers of this zamindar, they brought a Brahmin boy there, brahmachari boy, bribing him, telling something and bribing him, and they kept him in this in the temple of Bhadrakali. So this brahmachari boy was sitting inside the temple of Bhadrakali, and they left the palace. Leaving him alone in the temple to report to their leader, that is zamindar. So this fellow, who is sitting inside the temple, saw big Bhadrakali there with big Bali Peetham, where his head will be taken off. So the Bhadrakali, who has swords and weapons in her hand, and her tongue, dangling like that, dangling outside her mouth. He got very much scared seeing Bhadrakali, and he could guess, this brahmachari boy, though he was bribed with money and all, he could guess what is going to happen to him. So what's going to happen? So he started running away. He ran away from the palace, means the temple, the place. So the followers of the zamindar, they came back to see there was nobody there inside the temple. So they got disappointed, because, the zamindar will come and he will shout at these followers. They wanted to get another fellow before this zamindar come here. So they wandered here and there in search of a brahmachari in the middle of the night, in the middle of that rainy season, in the middle of the night, dark night. And after going here and there, wandering in the middle of the night, covered by the dense darkness, they came to this paddy field, this agricultural field, paddy field, where they saw this exalted son of the Angirasa family, that is this Brahmin boy, this Jada Bharata, who was sitting in an elevated place guarding the field against the attacks of this pigs and other things. They will come into the paddy field and they will take away all the paddies. So he was guarding that, sitting there. So they asked this Jada Bharata to come along with them. As usual, he never spoke anything. He never answered. So he started coming behind them. So what happened is they gave him a red cloth to wear, made him to take a bath, and then made him to wear this red cloth and put a red long big kumkum in his forehead and made him to sit in the Balipedam. So he was sitting in the Balipedam before goddess Bhadrakali. Okay, they worshipped the deity, that is goddess Kali. Jada Bharata was sitting in front of Kali. At that time, one of them, the chief priest there, there'll be a lot of priests there, and the chief priest there was ready to offer. Zamindar also came there, and they were all ready to offer the blood of Jada Bharata, that is this brahmachari, whom they imagined to be an sacrificial animal to the goddess Kali, to drink the blood, as a liquor. They wanted to give this blood to goddess Kali. So he therefore took up a very fearsome sword. It's a big sword, and which was very sharp, and consecrating by the mantra of Bhadrakali, raised it to kill Jada Bharata. He was raising. This chief priest was raising to kill Jada Bharata. He was putting his head like that, and he was ready to kill Jada Bharata, this chief priest. So what happened is, see, all these persons, all these rogues, of the zamindars were all low-minded. They were, overpowered by the desire. They became very rich, and they were all prepared to kill Jada Bharata. But Jada Bharata is a jnani. He's a saint. He's very, very equipoised. He sits there, prays to, and he's all self-realized person. The jnani, the tejas, that is the Jada Bharata's effulgence means tejas, began to burn Bhadrakali's, burn Bhadrakali herself, that itself, it's trying to burn Bhadrakali itself. The tejas of the saint is such a way, such effulgence. So goddess Bhadrakali, she could not bear this. She could not bear this. So the deity's body, what happened is it burst asunder. And the goddess Kali, this Bhadrakali, personally, what happened? He personally emerged from it, from the idol, in a bodily burning with an intense and intolerable effulgence. So, intolerant of this offenses committed, this what happened? This infuriated goddess Kali flashed her eyes and displayed her fierce and curved teeth. She has got all the curved teeth and fierce eyes, her reddish eyes, and glowed, and she displayed the fearsome features. So what happened is, leaping violently, emerging out of that and leaping violently from the altar, she decapitated all the fellows there with a very big sword. She beheaded the necks of the all the persons there, including the zamindar and everything and everybody. She began to play with the heads like drinking their blood, and she's playing with their heads like a ball. She left Jada Bharata there, and Jada Bharata This is all happening there with all the Anantram Dikshidhar used to say that the Matrika, see, all the Matruganams came there with all the, sounds and dangling sounds and jingle bells and all. It is all there. But Jada Bharata there is Jnani. He is sitting in front of the Bhadrakali without any disturbance. His eyes is open. His eyes are open, but without any disturbance, he is sitting there. That is the nature of a Jnani. Jada Bharata did not even, did not run anywhere. He was sitting there silently. He was sitting there. All these things are happening around him, but without any disturbance, he is sitting there. See, now at this time, see, this is the Jada Bharata's Charitram is being told by Sri Sukacharya to Parikshit, isn't it? So Parikshit is hearing this story, Jada Bharata's story. Now Parikshit is asking a question to Sukacharya at this time. He asked him, how come Jada Bharata did not move this fearful moment? Sri Sukacharya, he answered, see, this is the Jnani's stage. This is the Jnani's stage. Like a feverish person, a feverish person dislikes food because of his fever and because of his bitterness in the taste. But a Jnani doesn't even desire to take food itself. See, that's a difference. So now Shukacharya, started telling about this Jnani's story to Parikshit. Shukacharya continued to tell this Punya Charitra. This is, this is a very great Punya Charitra. This is Jada Bharata Bhagyana. So all the sins due to our Ajnana, we are doing so many sins due to our Ajnana, that will all disappear hearing this Jnani's Charitram. This is what the palan of hearing this Jnani's Charitram, Jada Bharata Bhagyana. There was a king called Rahugana, who is the ruler of both, Sindhu Desam and Sauvira Desam. He was a king for many, many, many years, ruling, and he once thought, I have been ruling this kingdom for many, many years, eating the same thing, doing the same thing, ruling the kingdom for many years. And at some time, I should get some wisdom. At this point of time, I should get some wisdom, Somehow I have heard about sage Kapila Vasudeva. So doing penance in the northeast part, and I should go there. I should go there, seek his blessings, and hear Bhagavad Guna from him, and get some punyam, get some wisdom. So thus thinking, he started in a palanquin. He was carried by the palanquin carriers in a palanquin. So he was sitting inside the palanquin and he was going to the northeast part. He was traveling. There was a chief, Kulapati. Kulapati means chief of the palanquin carriers. That is called a Kulapati, who goes in front of the palanquin. The carriers, after traveling for so much of long time, the carriers, they told him that they could not carry further. So heavy, and we could not carry further. It's so heavy. And they require one more person to carry. So they reached the banks of the river Ikshumati river, which is in the Sindhu Desam. So they were searching for another carrier. Here and there they were searching here and there. And they came upon this Jada Bharata. This Jada Bharata was sitting in front of this, in the Bali Peetham, the Kali Koil, he was sitting with his red, what is that? Red cloth, the big kungum and all. He was sitting there. And they considered that fact that Jada Bharata was very, very, young and very strong. This is like a, strong-bodied person. and had firm limbs. So they thought that he could be the right person. He is the right person. He can carry what 8 persons could do. He's such a heavy and huge person that he can do work. What 8 persons can do, he can do himself. So they asked him to carry the palanquin. They asked this Jada Bharata, since he is a jnani and he doesn't bother, he wanted to drain his prarabdha karma anyway. So he came forward to lift the palanquin. But see, since he's a jnani means, jnani means one has to practice so many things to become a jnani. Once when one became when one become a jnani, then again you don't have to practice. See, it's like, you have to read A, B, C, D so that you can read a sentence. After you are comfortable reading a sentence, then again you don't have to read check for A, B, C, D. It's like you are just like that, you are reading. You become so familiar, you become so comfortable reading it. That is how a jnani's stage is. What will happen is, before that you have to practice all the non-violence and all those things. But once he becomes a jnani, the jnani doesn't want to practice, but by nature he will become a non-violent person. That is, what will happen is, he is lifting the palanquin, but he will not step on any ant or anything, any small creatures in the earth. He will not step on that. So what will happen is, we as a person, we as a human being, we have to be very careful in walking. That is, we don't have to step. That is the practice. But once we become a jnani, then jnani doesn't practice, but by nature it will come. He will not step on anything. It is like that. So what happened is, his nature will become non-violence. So Jada Bharata, due to his sense of non-violence, what happened? He stepped forward and backward to check for ants, on the ground. So it was all erratic, and he could not keep the pace with the other carriers. He is all jumping here and there, and all the carriers are carrying there, and when he was jumping here and there, this becomes erratic. So due to this, what happened? This palanquin was shaking, and the Maharaja Rahugana was sitting inside the palanquin, isn't it? So he could not sit inside the palanquin. He banged his head. He said, why are you carrying it unevenly? See, better carry it properly. Be careful. See, hearing the threatening words of Maharaja inside the palanquin, the carriers began to speak. They said that, oh Lord, please note that we are not responsible for the negligence of this in discharging these duties. It is the new man, this man, the man who has been recently appointed or engaged to do this work with us, cannot walk very swiftly. Therefore, we are not able to carry this palanquin with him. So the King Rahugana, what happened? He opened this palanquin. The palanquin, it has got a small window there. And Rahugana, he opened the small window of the palanquin, and he could not see Jada Bharata's, properly. He could not see Jada Bharata properly. But seeing his huge body, he was in front of him, and he was seeing that the huge body one person is carrying. So he started to tease him. He started to speak in a sarcastic manner. He started, Jada Bharata, King Jada Rahugana told him, Aho kashtam bhratah, means, oh my dear brother, you certainly, see, he's using some abusive, he's teasing Jada Bharata in a sarcastic manner, a double meaning, like, you certainly appears, very fatigued, because you have carried the palanquin alone without any assistance for a long time and for a long distance. Besides, due to your old age, you have become, greatly troubled. You don't have strength. You, your old age is also troubling you. See, actually, Jada Bharata is actually young, strong, energetic. That is why he is teasing like that, this way. See, I see you are very, very firm. Firm. You are firm. You are not very strong. And stout. Aren't your fellow carriers cooperating with you? In this way, the king criticized Jada Bharata in a sarcastic way. Yet, despite being criticized, Jada Bharata had no bodily conception of the situation. So, he took it like lightly. So, he knew he was not, Jada Bharata knew that he was not the body. For jnanis, the body is made up of only Panchamaha Bhutams. That is Sattva, Raja, Tamasa, Gunam, Punyam, Papam, Chittam. See, all these four constitutes the Sarira. Sarira means body. He was neither fat, lean, nor thin, nor had he anything to do with the lump of matter. It's only a combination. It's only a combination of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. So he had nothing to do with all the material body and its 2 hands and legs. So in other words, he had completely realized his spiritual identity. That is, Aham Brahmasmi. He is in the state. He is in this state. So he was unaffected by the sarcastic criticism from the king. So without saying anything, he continued carrying the palanquin of Rahugana, this King Rahugana. But this palanquin, he carried in such a way that this palanquin, he carried only in an erratic manner. That is, he could not carry it properly because of his stage, because of the jnani stage, he could not carry properly. So the palanquin was still being shaken by the carriers before, because of this Jada Bharata. So what happened? The king became very angry and said, "You rascal, what are you doing? Are you dead despite the life within your body? Do you know that I am your master? Do you, you are disrespecting me. You are, disregarding me and not carrying out any order of me. For this disobedience, I shall now punish you just as Yamadharma. I shall give you proper, treatment. I shall give you proper treatment so that you will come to your senses and do the correct thing." Here, Rahuganan, thinking himself as a king, he chastised Jada Bharata, with uncalled for and, some contradicting words. Jada Bharata, who never even spoke to his mom and dad, he's pouring like rain now. He wanted to give advices, to Rahuganan's, because of Rahuganan's punya. Rahuganan was asking, here he said, "Rahugana, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. You said, I have not labored, carrying the palanquin. The load carried by the body does not belong to me. I am different from the body, for I am the pure Atma. I am not the carrier of the palanquin. The body is the carrier. There is nothing like carrying or carried object. Everything is pure consciousness. So I am now, see, I am not stout, I am not strong. The body may be fat or thin, the body may be stout, but no learned person, no learned man would say such things to pure Atma. Also, if the object of this journey and path, leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. If I am deciding my path, then there will be lot of troubles. No. But because they relate not to me, but to my body, there is no trouble at all. Because I think myself as a pure consciousness, isn't it? So now the Rahuganan, see what happened is, hey Rahugana, he says, hey Rahugana, the fatness, thinness, bodily and mental, distress, thirst, hunger, fear, disagreement, desires for material happiness, old age, sleep, attachment for material possessions, anger, lamentations, illusions, and identifications of the bodily with the self, and all transformations of the material, covering of the Atma. So I am neither fat nor skin, or or a dead person. He referred him as a dead person. That's why he's saying that I am not a dead person. I am pure Atma. Adyanta Shunyam. I am a pure Atma, pure conscious. So, oh Rahugana, you said you think you are a king, you are you are the master, and thus trying to order me. But these positions are only temporary. It's not permanent. So today you are a king and I am your servant. See, and tomorrow you may be the king, or you may say that you are the master, and these are only temporary circumstances created by the providence. Now, if you still think you are a king and that I am a servant, you should order me and I should follow your orders. Okay, Jada Bharata wants to, to do this prarabdha karma. Anyway, in this janmam itself, in this birth itself. So no one is master and no one is a servant. So if you think you are a master, so please order me. If you are thinking that you are a master, please order me. And what can I do for you? Hearing all these things, my dear king, you said them, and again you said you are going to chastise you. I'm going to chastise you, and you will come into your senses. I'll give you a good treatment. That's how you said. But you don't have to do anything for me. I have already put my body to heat, cold, and I live like a dull and dumb person, a mad person. So what will you gain by punishing me? Already I am punishing my body. So you don't have to punish me at all. So on hearing this, so many, on hearing all these yoga nishtams, yoga nishta is from the person in front of the palanquin, King Rahuganan, he slept outside. That is, he descended from his palanquin. He saw the sacred thread, in his, that is punal, in his shoulder. This Brahmin's and this brahmachari's shoulder. He could not bear this. He fell flat on the ground with his head on the lotus feet of the Jada Bharata and cried and said, please forgive me, please excuse me for insulting words against the great Brahmana. Oh, Brahmana, you appear to be moving in this world, very much, covered and unknown to others. That is like Avatudal. Who are you? Who are you? And where are you from? Are you the one who, one of those exalted, liberated saints like Kapila Vasudeva, who himself has come down to see me because he was going to see Kapila Vasudeva only. So may I ask you who, whose disciple you are? So Rahugana said, I am not afraid. I am not afraid of any thunder, thunderbolt of the King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about any punishment of Yamadharma, nor I am afraid of, the scorching sun or moon or fire or wind. Yet I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. So I am very much afraid of them. I should not do that. I made you to lift my palanquin. You are a Brahmana and I made you to lift my palanquin. So this is so much sin I have done. I know you are the most exalted of all learned sages and you have descended for the benefit of all the human society. And you are a direct representative of Kapila Vasudeva. I know that. The incarnation of God. So please forgive me for the sin committed by me. And please help me who is blind in spiritual knowledge. I am very attached to my family life and worldly activities. And I am present before you, seeking enlightenment, from you. See, you have said, I'm not fatigued from, labor. Although the soul is different from the body, there is fatigue because the body, the bodily labor, because of the bodily labor, it appears as if it appears to be fatigue of the soul. This is my, this is my conjecture. Like, when you are carrying the palanquin, there is certainly labor. There is certainly labor for the soul. You have said, whatever you see is not true. Whatever you see, it's not true. But during the wartime, when I get hurt, I experience a pain in my body. When I get hurt, I experience the pain in my body, and my mind gets that pain, and at last the soul also is, gets affected. The pain, what can I say? The designations like, pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. So you may put a pot of water. You may put a pot of water and rice in a fire. The rice, and the heat enters the pot. The heat enters the pot, and then the water, and then the rice. One after the other. Isn't it? Similarly, due to the bodily pains and pleasures, the senses, mind, and the soul, everything is affected. Everything gets affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning. So in normal parlance, if you are thirsty, what happens? When you drink water, we see the well, the rope, the bucket. So we could see all the, objects, artham. That's called artham. Objects means artham. And when you drink the water, then it quenches the thirst. And one can feel that also. So please, I pray you, you glance at me with your costless mercy. If you do so, I can be, relieved from the sinful activities. I have also insulted you. So I can be relieved from all the sinful activity. So for all these questions, King Rahugana is a representative of all of us. So he's asking question. Now Jada Bharata, who has not spoken in this Janmam, he spoke and he gives Upadesam to Rahugana. That's a very beautiful part, which we'll see in the next session. What Jada Bharata says to Rahugana. That's a beautiful part. That is this chapter itself, this Rahuganan's means Jada Bharata Bhagyanam itself is a very good charitram. Very good charitram. Very, very interesting charitram. And we will see in the next session what Jada Bharata says to Rahugana, advises to Rahugana. So we'll conclude the session with Purnamadam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.